I had buried my MIT degree in a drawer for 8 years. Tonight, I would dig it up and bury my marriage instead. The reflection staring back at me in the bedroom mirror was a stranger. I barely recognized the woman who'd once stood at the front of lecture halls, explaining neural networks
I've finished
to
the
rooms
report,
full of
just
Silicon
checking
Valley
over the
engineers.
details now.
Now I stood in front of a closet full of clothes I never wore, in a house that felt like a museum of my abandoned dreams. "Sarah, are you almost ready?" Marcus's voice carried up the stairs, tight with impatience. I smoothed down the simple black dress I'd chosen. Not too flashy, not too plain. The kind of outfit that would help me blend into the background, which was exactly where Marcus preferred me. "Coming," I called back, my voice steadier than my hands. Tonight was different from all the other nights Marcus had left me behind. For 8 years, he'd attended company events, investor meetings, and tech conferences without me. 8 years of excuses. "You wouldn't enjoy it, honey. It's all boring tech talk. The wives don't usually come to these things. You'd feel out of place." And my personal favorite, "I don't want you to feel intimidated by all the startup talk." The irony would have been funny if it didn't hurt so much. I descended the stairs slowly, each step
I've
a
finished
small
the report,
rebellion.
just checking over the
Marcus stood
details
by
now.
the door, checking his phone, dressed in the Tom Ford suit I'd helped him pick out last month. He didn't look up until I was right in front of him. "Finally," he said, eyes skimming over me without really seeing. "My mother insisted you come tonight. Apparently, the investors care about family values now." He made air quotes with his fingers, his tone making it clear what he thought of that. "How nice," I managed, grabbing my clutch from the hall table. In the car, Marcus was absorbed in his phone, his thumbs flying over the screen, probably texting Victoria, his marketing director. I'd found their messages 3 weeks ago, opened on his laptop when he'd left it on the kitchen counter. "You make me feel like the man I'm supposed to be," he'd written to her. "Sarah's so cold lately, so distant." I'd closed the laptop without saying a word, added it to the growing list of things I pretended not to know. "Remember," Marcus said as we pulled up to the restaurant, "I'm trying to close this funding round tonight.
I've finished
Just
the
smile
report,
and
just
nod
checking
if
over
anyone
the
talks
details
to you.
now.
Don't mention," he waved his hand vaguely. "You know, your old work stuff. It makes people uncomfortable." My PhD from MIT makes people uncomfortable? The words were out before I could stop them. Marcus's jaw tightened. "You know what I mean. This isn't about you tonight, Sarah. This is important." And there it was. The line that had defined our marriage for 8 years. This isn't about you. His startup, his career, his dreams, they were important. Mine were relegated to the past, to be hidden away like something embarrassing. The restaurant was one of those places that screamed Silicon Valley money, all exposed brick and Edison bulbs, where a side salad cost $30 and the wine list read like a novel. Marcus's mother, Helen, was already seated at a large table near the back. She stood when she saw us, pulling me into a warm hug that Marcus barely acknowledged. "Sarah, darling, I'm so glad you could make it,"
I've
Helen
finished
said,
the report,
holding
just
me at
checking
arm's
over the
length.
details now.
"You look lovely, Marcus. Doesn't your wife look lovely?" "Yeah, great," Marcus said distractedly, already scanning the room for the investors. Helen's eyes met mine, and I saw something there. A flicker of understanding, of apology maybe. Marcus had inherited his father's ambition, but none of his kindness. Helen had been trying to tell me that for years in small ways, in gentle suggestions that maybe I should consider going back to work, that maybe I shouldn't have given up so much. The investors arrived in a cluster of expensive suits and confident handshakes. Richard Chen, the lead partner from Summit Ventures, Jennifer Park, a rising star in the VC world who'd made her fortune backing AI startups, and Daniel Morrison, whose reputation for aggressive due diligence preceded him. Marcus transformed instantly, all charm and confidence. "Richard, Jennifer, Daniel, thank you so much for coming. This is my mother, Helen, and my wife, Sarah."
I've finished the report,
"Sarah,"
just checking
Jennifer
over the
said,
details
shaking
now.
my hand with a firm grip. "What do you do?" There was a beat of silence. Marcus jumped in before I could answer. "Sarah's a homemaker. She's been incredibly supportive of my work with Tech Forward." "A homemaker," Jennifer repeated, and something in her tone made me look up. She was watching me with sharp, intelligent eyes. How wonderful. And before that, another pause. Marcus's hand found the small of my back, pressing slightly. A warning. I studied computer science, I said simply. Where? Jennifer asked. MIT. Really. It wasn't a question. Jennifer leaned forward slightly. What year? I finished my PhD in 2016. Artificial intelligence and machine learning. The table had gone quiet. Marcus's hand on my back had turned rigid. A PhD from MIT in AI, Jennifer said slowly, looking from me to Marcus and back again. And you're a homemaker. Sarah wanted to focus on supporting
I've finished the
my
report,
career.
just checking
Marcus
over the details
interjected
now.
Smoothly. Building a startup takes everything you have. She understood that. Did I? Had I really wanted that, or had I been slowly, carefully convinced that wanting anything else made me selfish? It was hard to remember now, 8 years later. The woman who'd defended her dissertation, who'd received 3 job offers before graduation, who'd dreamed of changing the world, she felt like someone I'd read about in a book. Dinner proceeded with the usual startup theater. Marcus presented his vision for Tech Forward with practiced enthusiasm. The company built AI-powered customer service chatbots for enterprise clients. It was a crowded space, but Marcus claimed to have a unique approach to natural language processing that would revolutionize the industry. I'd heard this pitch 100 times. I'd even helped him refine it in the early years before he'd made it clear that my input wasn't needed anymore. We're projecting $10 million in revenue by Q4, Marcus was saying, with a clear path to
I've finished the
profitability
report,
within 18
just checking
months.
over the details now.
Your CTO just left, though, didn't he? Daniel cut in. That was in the news last week. Marcus's smile didn't falter, but I saw his jaw clench. David's departure was amicable. He wanted to pursue other opportunities. We have a strong technical team in place. Strong enough to handle the demo tonight? Jennifer asked. Absolutely. We're ready to show you exactly how our system outperforms the competition. A waiter appeared with a laptop and a large monitor, setting them up at the head of the table. Marcus stood, all confidence, as he opened his presentation. This was his element, the spotlight. He thrived here. What you're about to see, he began, is our Chat Assist Pro responding to complex customer inquiries in real time. Watch how naturally it handles context, how seamlessly it escalates issues when needed. He clicked to a live demo screen. A simulated customer chat window appeared, and Marcus began typing
I've finished the
queries.
report,
The
just
AI
checking over the
responded,
details now.
quick and professional. Then it happened. A customer asked about a technical product specification. The AI's response started normally enough, but then it began to spiral. It provided information about a completely different product. When the simulated customer pointed out the error, the AI doubled down, insisting it was correct, pulling in random data that made no sense. It was textbook AI hallucination, the model generating plausible-sounding but completely fabricated information. Marcus's face had gone pale. He typed furiously, trying to course correct, but the system kept failing. The AI was now contradicting itself in the same paragraph, citing non-existent sources, creating a chaos of misinformation. Marcus started, his voice strained. This isn't. David must have changed something before he left. The investors were silent, watching the demo implode in real time. Jennifer's expression was professionally neutral.
I've
but I
finished the
could read
report,
the
just
disappointment
checking over
there.
the details
Daniel
now.
was already closing his notebook. I can explain, Marcus said desperately. This is just a minor bug. Our team will have it fixed by morning. Your team that just lost its CTO? Richard asked quietly. I stared at the screen, my brain automatically analyzing the problem. I could see it so clearly. The model was overfitting on its training data, creating false confidence in its outputs. The context window was being managed incorrectly, causing it to lose track of the conversation thread. And the validation layer, the crucial check that should have prevented hallucinated responses, was either broken or missing entirely. It was fixable. Maybe 20 minutes of work for someone who understood the architecture. My hands were in my lap, fingers twisted together. Don't mention your old work stuff. It makes people uncomfortable. This isn't about you tonight. 8 years of those messages hammered home in 1,000 small ways.
I've
Helen's
finished the
hand
report,
touched my arm
just checking
gently.
over the details
When
now.
I looked at her, she nodded, just slightly. Do it. I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor, loud in the awkward silence. May I? I asked, gesturing to the laptop. Marcus turned to me, his expression a mix of panic and confusion. Sarah, this isn't. Let her try, Jennifer said. She was watching me with those sharp eyes again, and I had the distinct feeling I was being evaluated. I didn't wait for Marcus's permission. I moved to the laptop, my fingers finding the keyboard like coming home after a long journey. The code was messy, hastily patched together, but the bones were there. The problem is in your context management, I said, my voice steady and professional, a voice I hadn't used in 8 years. Your model is losing conversation thread after 3 exchanges. You're also not implementing proper validation on your training data outputs. I pulled up the back-end code. Marcus had frozen, watching me like he'd never seen me before.
I've finished the report,
Maybe
just
he
checking
hadn't.
over the details
My
now.
fingers moved across the keyboard. Adjust the context window parameters. Implement a basic validation layer. Add a confidence threshold for responses. It wasn't elegant, not a permanent fix, but it would work for the demo. Try it now, I said, stepping back. Marcus stared at me for a long moment, then turned back to the screen. He input the same query that had caused the meltdown. This time, the AI responded perfectly. Clear, accurate, properly sourced. He tried more complex questions. The system handled them flawlessly. The investors leaned forward. Jennifer was smiling now, a real smile. That's impressive, Richard said. Very impressive. Yes, Marcus said quickly. We've been working on these optimizations. It's part of our roadmap. We? Jennifer's eyes were on me. Sarah, you fixed that in what, 15 minutes? About that, I said. And you're a homemaker.
I've finished the
words
report,
hung in the
just
air.
checking over the details now.
I saw the exact moment Marcus realized what was happening, the way his face shifted from relief to fear, to something harder. Anger, maybe. Or humiliation. Sarah helped with some early research, Marcus said, trying to regain control of the narrative. But the core technology is all tech forwards. I'd like to speak with Sarah privately, Jennifer said, if you don't mind. It wasn't really a question. She stood, and I followed her to a quiet corner of the restaurant, near the bar. My heart was pounding. I felt electric, alive in a way I hadn't in years. How long has it been since you've worked in AI? Jennifer asked directly. 8 years. Since I got married. But you've kept up with the field. It wasn't a question, but I answered anyway. Every night after Marcus goes to sleep. Online courses, research papers, GitHub projects. I couldn't quite let it go. Jennifer nodded slowly. I'm going to be direct with you, Sarah.
I've finished the
I see
report,
this too
just checking
often.
over the details
Brilliant women who dim their light because someone convinced them that shining was selfish. She paused. I'm not investing in tech forward. The product is mediocre, and your husband just proved he doesn't have the technical depth to scale it. But I am interested in investing in you. My breath caught. What? One of my portfolio companies is looking for a CTO. Cloud Vault, data security for healthcare. They need someone who really understands AI and machine learning, someone who can build systems that won't hallucinate when handling sensitive medical data. The pay is competitive, and you'd have equity. Are you interested? The word yes was right there, but 8 years of conditioning held it back. I'd need to talk to my husband. Jennifer's expression softened. No, Sarah. You need to decide what you want. Then you can inform your husband of your decision. She handed me a business card. Think about it. Call me this week. When I returned to the table, the dinner was
I've
wrapping
finished
up.
the report,
The
just
investors
checking over
were
the
cordial
details
but
now.
non-committal, which in VC speak meant they were out. Marcus was putting on a brave face, but I could see the tension in his shoulders, the tight set of his jaw. The ride home was silent. Marcus gripped the steering wheel too hard, his knuckles white in the dashboard light. What the hell was that? He finally exploded as we pulled into our driveway. What was what? I asked calmly. You embarrassed me, Sarah. In front of the investors, making me look incompetent. Your code made you look incompetent. I fixed it. You fixed it, he repeated mockingly. You haven't worked in the field in almost a decade, and you think you can just jump in and what, Marcus? Be good at something? Be useful? God forbid your wife be competent. He turned to me, and his expression was ugly. Is this because you found the messages? With Victoria? So he knew I knew. This isn't about Victoria. Then what is it about? I looked at him.
I've finished the report,
Really looked
just
at
checking
him.
over the details
The man
now.
I'd loved enough to give up everything for. The man who'd slowly, methodically convinced me that my dreams were an inconvenience, that my intelligence was threatening, that being his support system was the only role I was suited for. It's about the fact that you saved your company tonight and you can't even say thank you. I got out of the car and walked into the house. My house, actually. Bought with the signing bonus I'd received from one of those job offers I'd turned down to move here with Marcus. I'd kept it in my name, one small piece of independence I hadn't signed away. Marcus followed me inside. You're being ridiculous. Of course I'm grateful, but you have to understand. I've been building this company for 8 years. It's my life's work. And what's my life's work, Marcus? Doing your laundry? Hosting dinner parties for your colleagues? Pretending I'm less than I am so you can feel like more? That's not fair, isn't it? I turned to face him. When was the last time you asked me about my interests?
I've finished the report,
My
just
goals?
checking over the details
When
now.
was the last time you saw me as anything other than the help? I see you. You see a reflection of yourself, a supportive prop in your success story. You don't see me, Marcus. I'm not sure you ever did. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, so what? You're leaving me? Because I didn't appreciate you fixing one bug? I almost laughed. Of course, that's what he thought this was about. One moment, one slight, not 8 years of systematic dimming. Not the way he'd isolated me from my grad school friends because they made me discontent. Not the way he'd taken over our finances until I had to ask him for money to buy groceries. Not the affair I wasn't supposed to know about with someone who made him feel like a man. I'm not leaving you because of tonight, I said quietly. Tonight just reminded me who I used to be, who I still am, underneath everything. I walked upstairs, leaving him standing in the foyer. In our bedroom, I pulled open my closet and found the box I'd buried
I've finished
in
the
the back.
report, just
My
checking
old
over
work
the details
portfolio,
now.
business cards from conferences I'd spoken at, the offer letters I'd turned down, my MIT degree in its frame, hidden behind winter coats I never wore. I took out my laptop, the one I used for my secret late-night studying, and opened my email. Jennifer's card was still in my clutch. I pulled it out and began typing. Dear Jennifer, thank you for the opportunity you presented tonight. I'm very interested in discussing the CTO position at CloudVault. I'm available for a call this week at your convenience. Best, Sarah Chen. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Then I called my old roommate from MIT, Emma, who'd been begging me to visit for years. Do you still have that spare room? I need a place to stay for a while. Oh, thank God, Emma said immediately. I've been waiting for this call for 8 years. When are you coming? Tomorrow. I'll explain everything when I get there. I packed a bag quietly, while Marcus
I've
made
finished
noise
the report,
downstairs,
just checking over the
slamming
details
cabinet
now.
doors. Let him be angry. I was done managing his emotions. In the morning, I left early. There was a note on the kitchen table. I'm staying with Emma. My lawyer will be in touch about separating our finances and filing for divorce. The house is mine, Marcus. I bought it before we married. You have 30 days to find a new place. I hope Tech Forward works out for you, but whether it does or doesn't, I'm done making myself smaller so you can feel bigger, Sarah. Emma's apartment in Palo Alto was small but filled with light. She'd become a senior engineer at a mid-sized tech company, the kind of career I'd once imagined for myself. She hugged me tight when I arrived, didn't ask questions, just made coffee and sat with me while I cried. I feel like I lost 8 years, I told her. You didn't lose them, Emma said. You survived them. There's a difference. The call with Jennifer Park was scheduled for the next day. That morning, I dressed in clothes
I've
Emma
finished
had
the
lent
report,
me,
just
real
checking over
work
the
clothes,
details now.
and sat at her kitchen table with my laptop open. When my phone rang, I answered on the first ring. Sarah, thanks for getting back to me so quickly, Jennifer said. I wanted to discuss the CloudVault opportunity. How much do you know about HIPAA compliance and healthcare data security? I smiled. Well, my thesis actually focused on privacy-preserving machine learning. Let me tell you about differential privacy and secure multi-party computation. We talked for 2 hours. Jennifer asked complex technical questions. I answered them, the knowledge flowing back like muscle memory. By the end of the call, she'd invited me to meet the Cloud Vault team the following week. One more thing, Jennifer said before we hung up. I'm also an angel investor. After you get settled at Cloud Vault, if you ever want to build something of your own, call me. I like backing women who've been underestimated. They tend to be exceptional. Marcus called 17 times that first week. I didn't
I've finished
answer.
the report, just
My
checking
lawyer
over the
handled
details
everything,
now.
clean and professional. The divorce was straightforward. California was a no-fault state, and since we'd kept our finances mostly separate and had no children, it was just paperwork. Marcus tried to claim he'd contributed to the house, but my lawyer had the receipts showing I'd bought it 2 years before our marriage with my own money. He fought anyway, out of spite more than logic. It dragged the process out for months, but I didn't care. I had other things to focus on. The Cloud Vault team was brilliant, hungry, and about 3 months away from a catastrophic security breach they didn't know was coming. I found it in my first week, a vulnerability in their encryption implementation that would have exposed patient data for millions of people. How did our security audit miss this? The CEO asked, stunned, as I walked him through the problem. Because your auditors were checking for known vulnerabilities. This is a novel attack vector based on recent research into quantum computing. You need to be reading papers.
I've finished the report,
not just
checking
running
over the
automated
details
tests.
now.
We fixed it. Then we fixed a dozen other things. I rebuilt their entire AI pipeline, implementing proper safeguards and validation. Within 6 months, Cloud Vault went from a security disaster waiting to happen to an industry leader. Healthcare providers were lining up to work with us. Forbes noticed. They ran a profile. The CTO who disappeared for 8 years and came back stronger. The article mentioned Marcus, how I'd fixed his demo, how I'd left my marriage to rebuild my career. He'd be furious about that. I didn't care. At the Forbes 30 Under 40 ceremony, I wore a dress that cost more than my entire wardrobe from my marriage. Red, bold, unapologetic. Emma was my +1, cheering louder than anyone when they called my name. Sarah Chen, CTO of Cloud Vault, pioneering new approaches to AI safety in healthcare. In just 18 months, she's transformed how we think about machine learning and patient privacy.
I've finished the
I
report,
stood on
just
that
checking over the
stage,
details
holding
now.
my award, and I thought about the woman I'd been. The one who made herself small, who hid her degree in a drawer, who apologized for being smart. She was gone now. I'd mourned her and moved on. After the ceremony, I stepped onto the balcony for air. The San Francisco skyline glittered below, full of light and possibility. Congratulations. I turned. Marcus stood there, somehow having gotten past security. He looked older, tired. Tech Forward had failed to secure funding after that disastrous demo. Last I'd heard, he'd had to lay off most of his team. Thank you, I said simply. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture I'd once found endearing. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. You deserved better. Yes, I agreed. I did. I've been trying to rebuild. Tech Forward. I was hoping maybe we could collaborate. Your
I've finished the
expertise with our
report,
platform,
just checking over the
and
details
there it
now.
was. After everything, he still saw me as a resource to be exploited. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I don't collaborate with people who spent years convincing me I was worthless, Marcus. I'm sure you'll figure something out. You always do. I walked past him, back into the warmth and noise of the celebration. Emma was waiting with champagne. Was that him? She asked. Yeah. What did he want? Something he can't have. We clinked glasses, and I looked around the room. Jennifer was there, talking to another young woman, probably finding the next brilliant person to invest in. The Cloud Vault CEO was laughing with investors. A recruiter from Google had my card and wanted to talk about opportunities. But the best part wasn't the success, or the recognition, or even the vindication. The best part was this. I liked who I was again. I looked in the mirror and recognized the woman looking back. It had taken 8 years to lose myself.
I've finished the
It had
report,
taken
just
18
checking over the
months to
details
find
now.
my way back. But I was here now, standing in my own light, and I had no intention of ever dimming it again. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. Cloud Vault board meeting next month. Bring your pitch for that new venture. I told you I wanted to invest in you building something. Time to make it happen. I smiled, already thinking about the possibilities. Healthcare AI was just the beginning. There were so many problems to solve, so many ways to use machine learning to make the world better. I'd spent 8 years as someone's support system. Now I was building my own empire, and I was just getting started. The night air was cool on the balcony, but I stayed there for a while, looking out at the city. Somewhere out there, another woman was probably making herself smaller, dimming her light, convinced that was what love required. I hoped she'd find her way back to herself sooner than I did. I hoped she'd realize that the right people don't need you to shrink. They celebrate when you expand.
I've finished the report, just checking over the details
what I
now.
knew now. The best revenge isn't anger or cruelty. It's becoming so absolutely, undeniably yourself that their opinions become irrelevant. I finished my champagne and went back inside. Emma was waiting with another glass and a group of women from the tech industry, all eager to talk about their projects, their struggles, their wins. This was my tribe. This was my world. And I'd never let anyone take it from me again.